Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is all about linguistic borrowing and language contact. So, we are going to discuss about language borrowing, the types of language borrowing, and the types of language contact. So, moving forward, what is language borrowing? The abstract noun borrowing refers to the process of speakers adopting words from a source language language into their native language. Loan and borrowing are, of course, metaphors because there is no literal lending, because there is no transfer from one language to another, and no returning of words to through the source language. The words simply came to be used by a speech community that speaks different from language. One of these words originated so in other words, language borrowing is a process wherein a word from one language or from the source language is being adopted by another language users and will utilize it as their own. For example of language borrowing include the word garage. It is from French language, and another word that came from French language may include the word entrepreneur and catalog. There are also words that are borrowed from Chinese, and that includes the word ketchup. Other example like karaoke from Japanese, cookie from Dutch, cartoon from Italian, and many more. So moving forward in discussing the type of language borrowing, um, loan the types of language borrowing first is loan word. It is the process wherein the word and the meaning are borrowed. In this type of borrowing, there is no word and meaning translation. You will just simply borrow the word. So, for example, the word pajama. It is a Hindi word that refers to a suit of loose pants and jacket or shirt for sleeping. Another example, it may include the word agenda. It is a Latin word that refers to a list of items to be discussed at a meeting. So next is loan translation. Loan translation, it is a literal word for word of both parts of the lending compound. In this type of borrowing, the loan translation words and phrases that are borrowed from a certain foreign language will be translated word for word into another language. So, for example, a Spanish phrase, el momento de la verdad, it is translated into English as the moment of truth. So there is a word for word language translation that occurs, or phrases that are borrowed is translated so that the language user who borrowed it will be able to understand carefully. So another type of borrowing is loan rendition. The translation vaguely capture the original meaning. When we say vaguely, it means uncertain or unclear. So loan rendition and loan translation is quite similar, since both of them acquires translation. However, long rendition is a type of translation that is uncertain or unclear in capturing the original meaning. For instance, refrigerator is translated as icebox in Chinese. The word here that is being translated into English language is the word icebox from Chinese language. So for us Filipino speakers, when we say icebox, it is a handy box used for storing ice, but in Chinese, it is referred to as refrigerator or it is referred to as refrigerator. So as you can see, the translated word, which is refrigerator, is unclear in capturing the original meaning, which is icebox. Next is loan blend. Is composed of borrowed Loan blend is composed of borrowed words from different language. It is a type of borrowing that combines two different language in order to create a new form of word. For example, monolingual is a borrowed word from Greek and Latin language. Mono is a Greek language and lingual is borrowed from Latin language. Another example may include aquaphobia. It is a combination of Latin and Greek language. So the word aqua is borrowed from Latin language and phobia is from Greek language. So next we have sloanship. It is a type of borrowing that is also known as semantic load. It refers to a change in the meaning of a word under the influence of another language. In short, the meaning of a certain word from another language is the one that is being borrowed. For instance, the word Superman got its meaning from the German words Übermensch, which means a person with outstanding powers. Next example will be the word bridge. The meaning of the bridge is borrowed from the Italian word ponte, which means an overpass or a railway bridge. Moving forward, to a language contact. Language contact occurs when speakers of two or more languages or varieties interact and influence each other. The study of language contact is called contact linguistic. When speakers from different languages interact closely, it is typical for their language to influence each other. In short, language contact occurs if speakers from different languages come together to interact and communicate with each other. Through the interactions, they may influence each other with the language that they are using. In language contact, there is the presence of interaction and influencing of language. So, to fully understand language contact, let us discuss the 5 types of code switching. 5 types of language contact. First is code switching. It is the use of more than one language by a speaker within an intercourse with others. This type of language contact refers to the alterations of language of speakers between two or more languages. For example, a multilingual Filipino speaker who can speak in 3 languages, in Cebuano, in Tagalog, and in English. Code switching happens when a speaker has the capacity to alternate the language he or she uses while conversing with other individuals. Next is borrowing. Borrowing, it refers to a word from one language that is adapted for the use in other. In short, borrowing is when you adopt a foreign language and would utilize it. For instance, umbrella is an Italian word which is being borrowed that refers to a device that is used as a protection against rain or sand. Another example is the word anonymous. It is a borrowed word from Greek language which means a person not known by name. Next, we have language shift. Language shift, it is a change from the use of another language. To understand language shift, it is a process of language replacement that occurs over an extended period of time. For example, since the end of World War II, Spanish-speaking families slowly shifted to English language. It means that the change of the language will only occur caused by phenomenon or economic, social, and political factor. We should not be confused between language shift and code switching. It is because code switching refers to the alterations of language while speaking language, while speaking language shift is, on the other hand, refers to the shift of language due to the economic, social, and political factor that also happens over an extended period of time. Now we have pidgin. It is a language contact that is developed in a situation where speakers of different language need a certain language to communicate. This type of language contact is developed for practical purposes. Pidgin doesn't have speakers. They are only developed in order to communicate. For example, Hawaiian Pidgin, inside dirt and cover and blanket, finished, which means they put the body in the ground and cover it with a blanket, and that's all. As you can see in the example, the vocabulary that is used is very limited, and also the usage of grammatical rule is being reduced. The word dirt there refers to the brown. We have to take note that Pidgin is a contact language for speakers with different language. It is a bridge for communication that has limited vocabulary, so it is developed just for the means of communication. And lastly, we have Creole. Creole, a complete language used in the community and acquired by children as their native language. Creole is a mixture of two different languages. Here in our example, we utilize the Konyo English Creole. Ano, you will make kain pa that apple after it made hulog on the floor, which means that you will still eat that apple after it already fell on the floor. As we can see in the provided example, it has wider vocabulary and it is easy to understand. We have to take note that in Creole, it is a combination or a mixture of different language and it is used by native speakers. Creole has wider vocabulary and has a developed grammar compared to Pidgin. So that will be all for my report. Thank you for listening and have a great day.